Hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and we're always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. Well, coming in May 1st to be exact, we are going to have our local elections. And this year, for the first time in 6 years, we are going to be electing a new mayor to the city of Groton. This month, April, I will be interviewing both candidates. Want to make mention that neither myself nor the studio is endorsing either candidate or party. So today I have as my guest the Republican candidate for mayor of the city of Groton, Harry Watson. Allow me to introduce him to you. Harry, welcome to Around the Town with Mark.
Oh, well, thank you for this opportunity, Mark. I've been looking forward to being here today.
Great. Well, we're very happy to have you today, and I'd like to start out by having you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about who you are.
Okay. I've been a Groton city resident since 1983, and a family. I have 3 children, 2 of which still live at home in their 20s. All of which went to Fitch. My wife's Kim Shepherdson Watson, who happens to be the chairperson of the Board of Education in the town. I serve on the town council and have so since 1990. So I've been on the town council for 26 years. I'll go back to my beginnings in politics because I began in 1989. I worked at Pfizer. I worked at Pfizer for 36 years and retired. But back in 1989, a woman came down the hall and asked me if I wanted to run for political office. Her name was Diane Mosier. And I, not knowing much about it, I blindly kind of said sure. And here I am 27 years later. I actually ran in a primary in the city of Groton in 1989. And I was on a city council candidate with Catherine Kolnaski. She ran against Tony DeMarinis in a primary. She was running for mayor, and there was 6 of us running for city council, and I lost. My first venture into politics, I lost, and I guess I got the attention of the. I had to switch to be a Democrat back then. I was a Republican. I got the attention of the party in the town, and they asked me to run for town council in 1989. And I lost again. I think I finished 13th or something. 9 people win.
Well, good for you for sticking with it.
Well, I did stick with it. I mean, if anybody is out there that runs for public office, I have a great appreciation for people that want to put their name out there, name on the line, so to speak. However, somebody on the town council resigned in 1990. And I was asked by the party to fill that spot. So I finished out a term on the town council, it was 1990 to 91. And then I ran for election again for town council, and I finished 9th. 9 win.
Okay.
So there I was, the beginning of my 26 years on the town council. And I switched parties back to Republican in 1994. And still continued to get elected every 2 years until present day. I served as mayor of the town for 6 years. I don't think anybody else has served that long in consecutive terms as mayor in the town from 2003 to 2009. And I've been on a variety of many other committees over the last 26 years, including I was one of the founding people for the Ledgelight Health District, was on the board for 10 years. I went through 3 sub-base realignments, BRAC, BRAC Commission proceedings.
We all know how we get very nervous about that.
Well, we're nervous about it again now, but there's nothing out there right now. But I have heard some rumors about that maybe coming up again. 2005, with the last BRAC, I was mayor. So everybody played a big role during that process, and we won. It was great to see, I'm not going to call it nonpartisan support, not bipartisan support to keep our base. And I've been involved with a lot of other things from, actually I was on city planning and zoning, I forgot to say that. Back when I lost that first election, they found a spot for me. So I started out in city planning and zoning, but
I just have to say, thank you, because, public service very often goes without getting any thanks for it, and sometimes, it's a thankless job. And I really appreciate seeing and knowing people that really give of themselves to their community. It's very important. More people should be doing that.
yeah, it's pretty time consuming. And
Yes, it is.
sometimes there's not a lot of praise, there's more complaints than praise, but it's, I care about our community. I love my community, and the quality of life in this town is very important to me. That's one of the reasons I serve so much. So.
And what prompted you, or what brought you around to making the decision to run for mayor this year?
Well, I love the city of Groton, and I've served a lot of time in the town. And this is not my first time, to be honest with you. In 2009, I ran against Dennis Pop, and I lost. And continue to serve. Actually, I was mayor at the time, and then I continued to serve as town councilor till now. I care about the city a great deal, and I think one of the most important things that I would say is it's been very frustrating over my time on the town council, the interaction, communication, and just dialogue between the town and the city has been very frustrating. And I think maybe what I offer is somebody that can step in day one and maybe open up those communications and make the dialogue between the town and the city a lot more productive than it has been. Pretty non-productive. We're always bickering over budget in particular.
Mm-hmm. So. And now, is that part of your platform?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought a copy of
well, please.
what our platform is.
Take it away.
And I'm running with 4 very qualified, diverse candidates for city council. We don't have a full slate. We have 4 running for 6 spots. Emily Marr, Chris Calkins, Greg Grimm, who also is a town councilor at current time. I sit right next to him on the town council. And Josh Strash, he's a newcomer to the political arena. Smart guy, works at EB, he's a veteran. I'm excited about the diversity of the people that we have that want to run with me. We have a lot of energy, and we're working very well together. Back to the platform.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just read them. It's a full, unwavering transparency and open government. Touched on that a little bit. End of one-party rule. Well, it certainly, if all of us get elected, it's still not going to be one-party rule because we only have 4 candidates for council. Mm-hmm. But it pretty much has been run by one party, the city, for a long, long time. And I'm not sure that's good. Accountability to government, return Groton utilities to the taxpayers. There's a lot of stuff in the press over Groton utilities right now.
Yeah, that's been a
maybe we
sore
can talk
spot
about
for a long
that
time.
separately.
Certainly.
We as a team have our own opinions about that, which differ from our opponents, I think. Maintain services and public safety by prioritizing efficiencies. This gets back to the communication between the town and the city of Groton during budget deliberations. It's always been contentious, and it's not a lot of fun. It really is not a lot of fun going into budget deliberations. A lot of finger pointing. Mm-hmm. And created positive work relationship with counterparts. That goes back into prioritizing efficiencies and streamlining our regulations for economic development. And what I say about that is my mom is 93 years old. She lives here in Groton. And her and I took a trip down to Baltimore last September, we took a train trip. And I got to see the Baltimore Harbor. Baltimore Harbor is just awesome. It's fantastic. And that's not something that we can have in Groton because
It
it's a
is.
big
I've been there.
thing.
It is pretty great, yeah. They did a beautiful job bringing that back.
Yeah, so I mean, I know we're working. We have a water taxi that is in its early stages. I think everybody's excited about that, but I don't think, you know, for a long time, I don't think the full potential of Thames Street is really being met. And I don't. It's not going to be Baltimore Harbor, but boy, it could be something pretty nice, a pretty good attraction to bring people into our community and spend money.
I've had guests on before talking about the Thames Street revitalization, and I know how important that is. But it seems to be a very difficult nut to crack to get new businesses and new life there one by one to build on that. Do you have a particular vision of how to make that happen that could actually see that come together?
All I can say is I need to get there and dig into it and learn about it. It frustrates me to see a shell of what used to be Ken's Tackle Shop. You know, from what I've learned, there seems to be predominantly one property owner that owns an awful lot of Thames Street.
Right.
We have taken the first step. The town has invested a lot of money in redoing Thames Street. I mean, drainage and retaining walls included. So that first step has been taken. I have, on the campaign trail, I talked to a man who was redoing a place down there, and he voiced his concerns over all the hoops that he has to go through as far as regulations go. I don't know what hoops he's talking about, but I could say on the town side, we're working on zoning regulations to protect the environment, but also to try to streamline some of our economic development. I don't know what can be done there, but a lot of people have been telling me they're just tired of driving down Thames Street. It's not reaching its potential, so to speak. So, I don't know if I've answered your question or talked around it, Mark, but
No, that's all right.
sometimes you get off on tangents, but I will do whatever I can to get something to happen down there. That's the
Well,
bottom line.
I certainly understand that you do have to reach a certain point where you can be in office and be able to really look at it from that side, to really be able to come together with a plan. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about what you see in the city that I know you've given us a little bit of a platform here to talk about, but are there some other specific, besides Thames Street, areas in the city of Groton that you and your new administration would want to tackle first, some of the biggest issues that you see for the city?
Well, let's not go to Groton Utilities yet.
Okay, right,
We'll do
right.
that.
We'll do
I can
that.
say the city has a lot of wonderful things that we all enjoy. I enjoy. I mean, we have a beach that is just priceless. Two of my children worked there for many years as lifeguards. That's something that's very special to us. I mean,
We do have a lot of great assets in the city of Groton.
Washington Park is just spectacular.
Yep.
I coached Little League there for years. I'm not sure I think it could use a little sprucing up, but I need to get down and watch a Little League game this spring, I suppose, just to see that. I used to play softball at Washington Park. But there's lots of good things that are going on. I think we have employees in the city that do a spectacular job, and I have a lot of respect for them. I am not running for mayor of the city to consolidate with the town.
Okay.
That's an important point to make.
It's a very, very important point to make.
Yeah,
yes.
and I've heard that word out there on the street. I think we're in some financial times right now that we need to look at the way we do things a lot more. We have we don't do interactive things like look for efficiencies and things that we can share. I chair a meeting in the town, which meets tonight, incidentally, which is called Board of Education, City Council, RTM, Town Council Liaison Committee.
That's
And,
that's quite a title.
And well, the title the title's important because it's all the elected groups in the town of Groton. And one of the things we talk about is communication. People go off, it's a small community, and rumors start, and it's very hard to start rumors. But if you have the leaders on the different elected bodies together talking about things, they can bring it back to their respective bodies, the RTM, for instance, the City Council. We have another committee in the town. Bruce Flax, our mayor, has started. This is called Efficiencies between the Board of Education and the town. And they're looking at things like things that we can share, not give up, the things that we enjoy that enhance our quality of life, but maybe make them more efficient and more cost effective. IT, for instance, they're talking about.
Well, as you touched earlier, the other big issue obviously is always budget, and there's been budget cuts all over the place, and that can hurt and has to be made up somehow.
Yeah, but if we don't sit down and talk about it, it's not going to happen, and that's basically what I say I'm bringing to the table. I think I can step in on day one, start that process, or improve on the process that's been worked on for years, I suppose. So, we on to something new?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Go for it.
Do you want to get to Groton Utilities? Because
I think we should. It's been mentioned a couple times now on the show. So, that's another very big issue.
It's really big, and I'm hearing it from people out there. And it's one of the things that one thing that got me over the edge of whether I was going to run or not, because it frustrates me. Run for the mayor of the city of Groton. Especially when I started reading about people going on excursions that the taxpayers funded. It's taxpayers, any way you look at it, it's taxpayers' money that was spent to send people off on trips, and it's lots of money. I mean, it's all through CMAQ. I understand what CMAQ is. I understand the different funds. I understand that we have our utilities commissioners on that commission. I understand the power of a group working together to get better rates so we all could enjoy lower utility bills. I understand all of that stuff, but I'm a big supporter of there's a couple bills in Hartford right now that Senator Summers has introduced, one of which would make all the financial books in CMAQ available to the public, which to me is frustrating. I don't see why. I don't see any trade secrets or anything that might be exposed by that kind of FOI oversight. So I'm a big supporter of that bill, and I think part of that bill is to put a citizen instead of utilities people onto that board of CMAQ. But it's just to find out. I think this whole thing, the whole Kentucky Derby trip thing, started with somebody noticing something on Facebook.
Right.
And I've actually gone through most of the people's Facebook accounts just looking, and there's not much on their Facebook accounts now as far as pictures go. So I'm guessing that there was a lot of pictures. I have heard people say that they have pictures, but I don't need to see pictures.
I can let you talk about that, but I can't.
I understand.
I'm on the ethics board, so I can't.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So I can't talk too much about.
That's okay. I respect that totally. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, from my perspective, it frustrates me, and I, for one, would support anybody that spent $7,500 or whatever the amount is reimbursing the taxpayers. I feel very strongly about that. We just read about Norwich voting to support that kind of action. I think that was in the paper yesterday.
Yes, correct, it was.
So I think I've touched upon what I want to say. I have pretty strong opinions about that, which is obvious, which is it's something that I differ in opinion on from my opponent. So,
yeah, well, the Groton Utilities and especially the TVC business has been kicking around now for quite some time and just doesn't really seem to want to go away.
no, there's a couple of gentlemen in the city that have been working very hard to unveil a lot of that stuff, and I have a lot of respect for those two. They're volunteers too doing that. They believe in what they're doing, and but I'm not sure if it wasn't for those two fellows that we wouldn't be where we are. If you're on the Ethics Commission in the city, is that so? You're meeting at 5 o'clock today.
That's correct.
You know, I've seen your agenda already.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
quality of life.
Quality of life.
That's what
All
I
right.
love the city. I mean,
All
I
right.
have.
So now we're talking about the positive aspects, or also what is good and what you would want to see enhanced.
See enhanced.
Yes, we have a good quality of life, I think, as a city resident. I've been very happy with life in the city. Where do you see improvements need to be made, and if there are, how would you go about doing those?
You know, as minor as it might seem, some of the complaints I'm getting from people are things that have been cut. I mean, trash collection once a week instead of twice a week, and recycling is the same. I have to say that I don't have a problem with once a week trash collection, but
I don't. It hasn't bothered me.
And it might be better in the summertime to have it twice because things sitting out in the sun tend to get a little ripe, I suppose you might say.
Yeah, you could say that. That's for sure.
I could see, I personally, if that was something that was an issue, I could see that going back to twice a week in the summer and once a week in the winter, especially when we have young people working for the city, you know, as cheap labor, I suppose you might say, save money to go to college. I know what that's like. I just put 3 kids through college. Last one's done.
Good for you. Good for you. One issue that I know has been out there a lot is condition of the roads, and the difference between how the city maintains the roads and how the town maintains the roads. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion about that. What are your feelings on that?
Well, I have to do a little bit of explaining, go back a bit. First of all, the town is responsible to maintain the roads in the city. There's a public act that says that we are responsible to give the city money for what is necessary and proper to maintain the roads in the city. And I'm going to get to, there's a little bit of a communication that needs to be improved upon. Let's just say that.
Well, can I give you one example? Thomas Road.
That's perfect, because I've been hearing that one.
Yeah, I mean, you see where the city repaved up to the line, and then where the town takes over, it's a wreck.
That's the road that everybody in the city sees.
And it's a very heavily traveled road.
I know.
And you really see that line between the city and the town, and the difference between how they're maintained.
First of all, we bonded money to pave roads a few years ago. Councilor Perizzotti and I worked on that, and we got that past the voters. So the city and the town both prioritize what roads they're going to do, and we're going to go out to bond to fix those. And you're right, we paved right up to Birch Plain Creek. It's beautiful, except it's just been dug up and repaired again because there was a leak. But the city road right up to there is fine. Thomas Road starts, and it's awful. It's really awful.
It is.
Roads get to the point where they have to be totally reclaimed, which means that they have to dig it all up. They actually recycle the asphalt and completely redo the road. And that's a bad place to get to, and that's where Thomas Road is.
That's where it is, yeah.
Ideally, you would want to have enough money to not completely go all the way down to the bottom, and more often pave roads so you don't have to do that expensive job like we're going to have to do on Thomas Road.
So if you were to become mayor, would we be able to see in the next year any progress on Thomas Road?
That's a town issue, not city issue.
Okay, but you work with the town to make these things happen.
Absolutely. I can go back to the history of Thomas Road. Is we have, on again, I'm very frustrated over Thomas Road because it's been like that for a really long time. And we have a plan to put an all-purpose path along Thomas Road on the Crystal Lake side. That has arisen to priority, and we haven't been vigilant enough about pushing that. Thomas Road is going to get done in the very near future. I could make a phone call and find out when, but it has to get redone. There's no question about it. And that's part of that bonding package that I told you that was approved, which includes city roads too. I didn't, and I'm hearing a lot about, as city mayor, there's nothing I can do about it. As being on the town council, I actually just brought it up again recently because I've been getting complaints.
But I would assume, as you mentioned earlier, that you as the city and the town want to see those two working very closely with each other. And with your background and contacts with the town of Groton, I would hope or would expect that perhaps as mayor you would be able to use all of those together
to make Bruce Flax up and say,
to make these things happen that haven't happened.
Yeah, I can say, the people in the city are getting pretty tired of driving from our roads to your roads, or they're all town roads, but no, absolutely.
Right.
I put myself out on a limb. I could say that Thomas Road is probably going to get done this year, but I might be eating crow there, but
Well, we're winding down. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers that I have not mentioned or that we have not talked about?
Well, actually, I had a lot of notes and never looked at them.
Okay, well, we're down to about 2 minutes, so
okay.
Floor is yours for at least for another minute or so.
Okay, I don't.
Actually, I take that back, but now we're getting down to 1 minute, so let's.
Okay, I'm here to. I've said a lot of things and I've made a lot of points. I'm asking for voter support on May 1st for change in the city of Groton, open communication, transparency, much of the things we've mentioned here in the last 30 minutes or so. I'm just asking for voter support May 1st when you go to the polls.
All right, well, I want to thank you very much for being my guest today. Thank you, and I wish you all the best of luck.
This is not a debate, so we don't shake hands, but thank you very much for the opportunity.
Very good. And I want to thank my viewers for tuning in today. And get out there May 1st and vote. I think everybody should vote. If you want to have a say or you want to be able to have a complaint, you've got to get out there and vote. So do that on May 1st. Remind you again, we've had the Republican candidate on today, April 19th. I will have his opponent, the Democratic candidate Keith Hedrick, on, so please stay tuned for that. And again, thank you for tuning into Around the Town with Mark. Get out there and vote, and we're going to see you again back here very soon.